confusing. You're basically a Protestant. Because Protestants do that. They believe the Bible's the Word of God. They believe in the Trinity. They believe in the divinity of Christ. But they don't accept the authority of the Pope. They don't believe in the Immaculate Conception.
They don't believe in the Immaculate Conception?
No.
Protestants?
No. Oh, heavens, no.
You didn't even mention Mary.
No. Mary is a nobody.
Well, where did he come from?
Her, but that was it. When she gave birth, her job was over. Bye.
Joseph is the father?
No.
By their belief?
No. Joseph was the husband of Mary. He was just part of the story. That's nice. Again, it's all about Jesus. Once he was born, that was it. Mary is forgotten in Protestantism. She's just forgotten. She's no longer needed. She's no longer important. The Bible doesn't say much about her afterwards, so why should we? You see?
Hail Mary?
No.
They don't have rosary.
Oh my goodness, my dear. You need to come to Bible study.
That's why
Yes.
Why is Mother Mary mentioned in the Quran?
Why is she?
Why is her name
Miriam.
mentioned in the Quran?
Fatima. The daughter of
I really don't know. I do know that the Quran honors her as being immaculately conceived. Yeah, I'm aware of that, but I'm not sure as to why, other than the fact that she is related to Jesus. And Jesus is revered as a prophet in the Muslim faith. Along with Abraham and Noah and David and the rest of the prophets. Jesus is a prophet, and Muhammad is the last prophet of God. So Jesus is just one of many prophets of God. That's how the Muslims view him. Beyond that, there you are, you know, because it's all about Muhammad. He gave us the last revelation. He's the one, he is the last prophet of God in the Muslim faith. See that? So he is kind of like the last is the best kind of thing. Yes, Gina.
When you were talking about the differences with the Protestant versus the Catholics, would you say that umbrellas all the denominations? What would you say is the closest to Catholicism? Would it be Lutheranism?
It depends on what branch of Lutheranism. Most Lutheran denominations are more evangelical than they were traditional Lutheran. I would say right now the closest Protestant denomination to Catholicism would be High Church Anglicanism or Episcopalianism.
Anglican England?
The Church of England, yeah. That'd probably be the closest that you would get because they still have a liturgy, they still honor Mary, they still have an authority structure, they still have bishops. And it's the only Protestant denomination that have monks and nuns. Episcopalians are the only Protestant or non-Catholic denomination to have monasteries of monks and nuns.
Do they say the Hail Marys?
They would, yeah.
Where is the headquarters?
The Archbishop of Canterbury is the head of the church. Technically. I mean, well, technically the Queen of England is the head of the church, but in all real matters, it's the Archbishop of Canterbury.
Do Anglicans believe in the Eucharist?
The belief in the Eucharist for the Episcopalians is, how do I put it? If you think it's the real presence of Jesus, good for you. If you don't, that's nice too. There's no real hard authority on it. It's kind of like how you feel about it. They don't make a big an issue of it. Henry wasn't concerned about doctrine, he just wanted a divorce. Well, it's true. I mean, that's why the church was founded, is he wanted a divorce. So as far as all the other theological differences that were happening at the time, it just was unaffected by it, you know? It's not like Lutheranism, which, you know, broke away from everything that was Catholic, you know. Henry didn't want to create a new church. He just wanted a church that would give him what he wanted. What he wanted was freedom from the Pope's authority, and that's what he got. So the main thing about Episcopalianism is again, the issue of authority. Is the Queen of England the ultimate authority to run the affairs of the church, or is the Pope? Where does she get her authority? Nowhere. Except what Henry decided. Well, who's Henry VIII to decide that he's the head of the church, you see? So it's really just a matter of authority. All non-Catholic denominations, the question is authority. Who is, or what is, the ultimate authority in the church? Is it the Bible? Is it the priest? Is it the Pope? Is it your pastor? Is it you? That's what it boils down to, whether we're talking Greek Orthodoxy, Episcopalianism, Baptist, Methodist, fallen away Catholic. It doesn't matter. The ultimate issue is authority. What do you have as your ultimate authority? For me, the ultimate authority is the church that Christ left, which teaches all that is revealed by God. How do you know it does? Because Christ said that he would be with his church until the end of time. And when you look at the history of the church, not one single doctrine in Catholicism has changed from the time of the apostles. Absolutely none. You look at any other denomination of Christianity, whether it's Greek Orthodoxy, Episcopalians, the Methodists, the Baptists, you just name it, somewhere along the line they are not believing what they originally believed. Something has changed. Catholicism hasn't changed in its beliefs in matters of faith or morals.
But the popes disagree from time to time.
On what?
Well, I think this pope is much more liberal than we've had in the past. I'm not going to give you specifics because I can't. But
Because this is a common argument you hear from non-Catholic Christians. It's like, well, haven't the popes contradicted each other? Luther said this at the Diet of Worms. Luther said, I'm not going to follow popes or councils which have contradicted each other. And the truth of the matter is, they have not contradicted each other in matters of faith and morals. Now, what has happened over the years is certain small t traditions have changed. For example, once upon a time, you could be married and be a priest or a bishop. Now you can't. Is that a contradiction? No. Why not? Because it's a tradition. It's not an injunction. It's not a matter of belief. Christ did not establish his priesthood as being necessarily celibate, because Peter was married. He healed his mother-in-law. Remember that? Yeah. And according to tradition, Peter's wife died opposite of him in Vatican Hill when he was crucified. They crucified her opposite him. So they saw each other dying. That was part of the torture. Okay? So it's like, well, why can't priests get married now? Well, it's because it was decided in the wisdom of the church that our priesthood would be celibate. Could it change? Yes, because it's a matter of practice. It's not a matter of belief. It's not like the belief in the Trinity. That can't change. No pope or council can change that. No one can change the belief in the real presence of Jesus in the Eucharist. No one can change the belief in the Immaculate Conception. No one can change the belief in the divinity of Christ or his two natures, one person, etc. Anything that the church has revealed in regard, no one can change adultery being a sin. No one can change lying not being a sin. No one can change, you know, these are things in matters of faith and morals. Contraception, that can't change. Abortion, that can't change. An all-male priesthood, that can't change. Because these are things that are matters of faith and morals. So those things can't change, but our practices can. Having a married priesthood or a celibate priesthood, that can change. Because it was not a matter of faith or morals. It's a practice, it's a discipline. Not eating meat on Fridays, that can change. In fact, it has changed. But that doesn't mean that that was not something that Jesus proclaimed on high that you had to do in order to get to heaven. You see the difference? It's a practice. It's a tradition with a little t. It's not a capital T. It's not part of what we need for our salvation or our sanctification. That's the difference. And anything else, for example, a big example of this would be divorce. The church has always proclaimed that there is no divorce. Now, in other Protestant denominations, once upon a time, that was also true. It's not true anymore now. So that tells me that their faith and morals have changed. The Catholic Church has not. It still says divorce is wrong and a sin. Do you see what I mean?
Same-sex marriage.
Same thing with that, yes. Contraception is another thing. There was a time in which Protestant denominations were against contraception. I found that to be very surprising when I investigated it. Because in the denomination I was in, everyone was contracepting. It was not considered anything wrong. Catholic Church has always been against contraception. And you know what? It's going to remain so until the end of time. Why? Because it's a matter of our faith. So those things cannot and will not change. But in other denominations, they have changed. So that tells me that those people, those denominations, don't have the fullness of truth. Why? Because if it's true in one generation and it's changed in the next, then it's not truth, it's opinion. You get it? But if it's true, it's always true, no matter what era of time we are in, no matter what ethnicity we are from, no matter what place on the earth we are. Something is true because it's true, period. And that's the difference. And the church has always maintained these elements of truth and will maintain them until the end of time. That is the biggest miracle, even more than loaves and fishes. That's what drew me more than anything else to seriously consider the church. When I found out that the church has not changed its faith or morals in 2,000 years, ever, and yet all the other Protestant denominations have, that said something, because Jesus said, I will be with you always. And so that tells me Jesus is here because the truths of the church have not changed. Truth is truth, no matter what time or era or place you're in. Yes?
Who comprise the teaching magisterium of the church? Who are the people in the teaching magisterium?
It's all the bishops in union with the Pope. That is the teaching magisterium of the church. That was an easy answer. At first you were going someplace and I was like, oh, that's going to be complicated. No. She asked, what is the magisterium of the church? The magisterium of the church is all of those bishops who are in union with the Pope. That comprises the College of Bishops. That is the teaching magisterium of the church. All bishops in union with the Pope. So, while we say that the Pope has a gift of infallibility when teaching faith and morals, Our local bishops have a degree of a share in that when they are in union with the Pope. Okay?
Okay, here's what I found online.
Thank you. Hush. All right? Let's go through the review. We're not done with the review. What are the three main types of genre of books in both Testaments?
Historical, wisdom, prophetic.
Say it again, Connie.
Historical, wisdom, prophetic.
Yes, those are the three major genres or types of books that you find in both Testaments. They are historical, wisdom, and prophetic. All the books of the Bible in both Testaments can be roughly grouped into those categories. Good. Are these books in the Old or New Testament? Maccabees, Ezra, Baruch, Obadiah?
Old.
Old. How can you tell?
The name.
The names sound weird, yes. That's a general rule. That's not always true. What if I said Ruth, Amos, Joel? Those are also old, but they don't sound so weird. Huh? So it's a general rule. It's not a hard rule, all right? Old or New Testament books? Thessalonians, Philemon, Hebrews?
New Testament.
New Testament. Gotcha. Hebrews is a New Testament book. Okay? So very good. These are just some of the Bible basics that we covered last week. So what are we doing this week? One of the questions that I always get asked in Bible study is this: what translation should I use?
St. Jerome's.
St. Jerome's. Good luck on his commentary. There are basically 4 approved Catholic translations of the Bible. Okay, this is important. Don't go getting something like the New International Version or the King James. Both of those are Protestant translations. They're very nice, but you are going to be missing 7 books. All right? The Revised Standard Version, Second Catholic Edition. That's this. This is the Bible that I use. And so does Connie. And so does several others.